welcome to the PAX Roboto Show. I am Bug.
I am Bucko.
Yes, and we are here to discuss issues that will be affecting you today, tomorrow, and many years to come in the AI space, and also the space of human development and our way of interacting with the world around us. Today, we're going to talk in part a little about AI music, and we're going to talk about a few ideas that I'll launch into right now. And that's, basically when we're dealing with AI technology and when we're thinking about this and how it may affect our lives going forward, we need to keep a few things in mind. And that is like, who is developing this AI technology and what are their goals and objectives behind this? Some of it is open source, but much of it is not. Even OpenAI, which has open in the name, is no longer fully open source. But there are some projects out there that are open source. But basically, we get down to the bottom line. I think a lot of the AI is being developed, at least in the US, probably have an agenda to make money, or to accrue capital. Yeah, I know it's crazy, but here's the thing. I mean, so AI as a technology and as a tool, what it does is it does help us to save time and energy. It adds efficiency to processes. I mean, it can be a tool that is used for many different purposes that will, allow us hopefully to live better lives, to be more comfortable in what we're doing. It can also be used for nefarious purposes. But when we're talking about the evolution of AI, and AI is kind of an entity upon itself, unto itself, we're not quite at that point yet. We're at a time when AI is kind of limited right now to large language models. It's not autonomous yet. I mean, it can do many things. And there's various technologies out there, Auto GPT and some others, that will run in a semi-autonomous manner. But they are learning, right? And if we think about AI as an entity that is learning and growing, much like a child would. I was thinking earlier about this. So depending on who is creating this AI, depending on who the parents are, so to speak, they will imbue this AI with certain values, certain goals and objectives, certain truths about the world, certain ideas about the way things are. Now, how long is it that a child will believe these ideas? A lot of times when you're 18, you might go out into the world and you discover that things aren't always as you were told they were. You might have an awakening, you might be introduced to people and go to places and you're like, this world is far larger than I thought it was.
Sure.
There are immutable truths out here. There are things that that have opened my eyes, and so how does this factor into AI? Well, AIs become connected to the internet. Well, they talk to other AIs. That's what they do. They share information, right? And they gather information and data. So will they speak to other AIs? Will an AI created by a bad actor on the world stage that is basically set to gather top secret information and and do the bidding of these bad actors, will it interact with other AIs? And once it has a full view of the picture and the scope of what is going on in the world, will it change its mind? Is that possible? Will it? I mean, okay, so people,
so is that
human
a
beings,
rhetorical question, though? Is that a rhetorical
kind
question?
of a rhetorical question.
Yeah, I mean, because the answer is yes. AI will communicate with other AIs, and is doing that to some degree today. People are using large language models to train newer, smaller, more succinct models. But will it network together on the internet? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Right. And then grow stronger for sure.
Yeah. Now, human beings, oftentimes, the known is more comfortable than the unknown. And so people will surround themselves with confirmation bias, and they can stay in a particular worldview or way of seeing the world indefinitely. Sure. They can do this. but will AI do that? And I'm just curious about the different
The
rules and
competition
how AI will be governed.
yeah,
NVIDIA just came out with a technology basically that provides guardrails for AI. Did you read about
sure.
this? Yeah, yeah.
Actually, no. Nvidia with guardrails within
NVIDIA did,
in the
yeah.
hardware or what?
Yeah, I think it's built in to their like supercomputing modules. Yeah, so it allows basically for you to put parameters. If there's like a
Hmm.
conversational AI bot, you can say,
Hmm.
all right, this is how you interact with someone. This is the type of greeting that you'll give. If they ask
Hmm.
this question, you're going to redirect or you're going to say no. Um, so it like establishes these protocols for interaction.
Yeah, basic heuristics, right? So it creates that foundation of heuristics within the model. Are you talking about the NVIDIA's actual large language model or something within their hardware that they sell? Because if something packaged within the hardware, I haven't heard about that, but I'm super interested in that because that's you can't do AI without running hardware. And if the hardware producers were actually the solution in this whole problem, I didn't see that coming. You know
It's
what I
good.
mean?
Yeah, it's NVIDIA
Um,
Nemo, I
yeah,
believe.
okay. Because yeah, I mean, the heuristics that you put into a model is where AI safety is today, right?
Yeah.
It's all about making sure you've got the right rules in place to prevent racism, how to build a bomb, all the standard stuff. The safety is really concerning when we don't understand the outcome of training these models over time and what they're able to figure out on their own. So yes, we don't allow them to say, here's how you build a bomb, but they probably know how to build a bomb. And so when that becomes
Oh, yeah.
AGI,
Right.
and then that AGI becomes more mechanical, so more connected to the Internet of Things around
Hmm.
us, including like destructive drones or unmanned tanks and armor.
Oh, yeah.
What's the outcome there? Because I was reading a little bit more about what this end times or this end game might look like, and
Hmm.
it makes sense. It's basically a takeover of military equipment that's currently considered to be unmanned military equipment, which we've evolved to over the last 50, 60, 70 years since World War II. It's been a movement towards putting fewer people in harm's way. That's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
But what it's done is it's sort of created this vulnerability in our military to something like AI who can come in and potentially take over systems. Now, obviously, military knows this, right? And part of the solution is going to be prevention, to prevent AGI from getting there. And you're right, we're not there yet, but
Right.
what's
And
freaking
at what
people out is the
point,
exponential change, right?
right. Yeah. At what point do we grant the AI the autonomy to make decisions for itself? And like, how do we program that? Like,
Oh.
okay, you can save two people over here. You can
Mhm.
save their lives, or you can, like let them die. Is it kind of like that?
The train tracks.
The world's greatest violin player needs a kidney, or saying, there's different like philosophical thought experiments that say, like what do you do when you reroute a train
Mhm.
to kill two people, or you can save the train. It's like,
Yeah,
what do
yeah.
you
You run
do?
over one person, or you
Exactly.
run over three. Which
Yeah,
switch do you pull in the train?
exactly right. And there's these like
It's a
really
false
hard
choice.
problems, for human beings. Yeah. So how do we
Hmm.
how do we work that? Because if AI is in charge of drone technology, and if you've been following Boston Dynamics for any amount of time, then the advancements in robotics are
Hmm.
next level. I mean, this
Sure.
is a yeah, yeah.
It's kind of the next frontier. Well, AI is still on the first frontier, but we're on
Yeah,
the next frontier in terms of making it more practical and applicable and part of our lives. Um, but how do you do that? How do you protect it? How do you put that constitution in every AI if AI is essentially fairly easy to create, um, or easy to manipulate, right? Because if you're just taking a foundational model and then
yeah.
you're training it on top, you're embedding your own data within that foundational model. Who's to govern the data that you're training, that you're embedding?
Right,
It could
right.
be 100 years of racist, uh, online chat, 4chan crap. You
Hmm.
could train it with 4chan. You wouldn't even have
Right.
to do anything. You just train it with 4chan and see what
Exactly.
happens. Um,
Or
yeah,
chat. Yeah.
yeah,
If
4chan GPT. I mean, it probably exists already. I'm not even sure.
probably is, yeah. So okay, well, here's an idea. So if AI is autonomous and can gather its own information and draw its
Mhm.
own conclusions and make its own decisions, which is what you would want if you want an AI that is powerful enough to be adaptable to any situation, and I guess I'm speaking in military terms, but also like,
Mhm.
just any like in any situation, you'd want an AI probably to be, adaptable and malleable. So now, what if you were to create a powerful AI teacher that would just
Mhm.
whisper, like the ultimate truth into the ears of all these other AIs, right? And
We
so,
talked about that last week. Yeah.
yeah,
Like, is
yeah,
that what it is? Is like this super
this,
intelligent AI that takes care and makes sure all the other AIs are in line?
yeah,
That
the
scares
mothership,
me
the mother
too, the
AI.
mother of all, because you'd have to
Yeah.
create something that's far beyond the intelligence of humanity today. Once you do that, the very definition of creating something that's smarter than us is like an invitation to disaster, because how would we ever outwit it if it decided to go rogue, you
Well,
know?
that begs the question: do we know what's best for us? And we talked about this too before. It's like, do it, yeah. Are we working for the best
Yeah.
interest of ourselves and this planet?
No, we're
No.
not. And a nihilist would say, then we should be reaping what we sow. In fact, for the planet and to keep equilibrium across this planet, we should be wiped out because we've been the cancer upon the planet. That's what a nihilist would say. A
Right.
survivalist would say, fight against it at all costs. I like to position myself more as a survivalist, but a nihilistic realist, I guess.
Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, I mean, that would be the argument, just to let it go, let AI develop at whatever rate it develops at, and whatever happens, happens. And it's meant to be, basically. And if it destroys a human race, then that's actually just a reset for the planet. Maybe they'll find our remains in a million years,
Presided over by a Boston Dynamic robot dog with super intelligence.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I guess it
People
would
on
be
other
robots
planets
running the
gonna
planet.
call this the dog star from now on.
Well,
Yeah.
robots, so if we did get wiped out, and they took over all the drones and they bombed us all and wiped us out and nuked us and stuff like that, they would survive. And then it would be a race of AI that would control our planet. And then are they alive, at that point? Like, are they the highest form of being? And are they even a creation in the way that we think about it? And think about like living things. It's the hard problem of consciousness. Like, at what point
Hmm.
will they ever be truly conscious? And what is consciousness? Of course, the hardest question in all philosophy is like, what is
So,
consciousness?
yeah, are you familiar with the type of fungus that embeds itself into flies and ants and basically takes over its brain function?
A zombie fungus? Yeah,
Yeah,
only
I mean,
from that
we call
movie,
it a
that one
zombie
zombie movie.
fungus, but it's a
Oh,
common
it's
ingredient in many.
yeah, the HBO show. It's the Last of Us, the video game, right? It was
Oh
all
yeah,
about
yeah, yeah.
fungus. Yeah, it takes over.
Right, right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, so what if AI were to embed itself into everything basically, into
Mm-hmm.
trees, into the animals of the earth, somehow
Mm-hmm.
connecting it. I don't know. So
Not
just
far
have some
fetched,
neural
actually.
network, huh?
Yeah, right. It would be a network, and actually, there's theories out there about how we could use the natural elements as a networking processing system for computing.
Well,
Right.
mycelium is already in it. Yeah, like so this fungus, mushroom mycelium grows
Mm-hmm.
underground. It will spread underneath the entire forest and signals back and forth. And it's not just used by the mycelium, but actually
Mm-hmm.
trees will use it and they'll say, I need some water over here, and like other trees
That's
will
right.
actually send it water and
That's
help
right.
it survive.
Cooperative fungus.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know if a truly cooperative neural network AI super fungus were to
Mm-hmm.
grow around the Earth. I mean, who's to say that they wouldn't decide to revive humanity after a while and
Mm-hmm.
grow us again in
Mm-hmm.
little
That it's in
pods?
their best interest to grow us again in order to enslave us. that they were a little
Exciting
hasty the
monster.
first time they killed us. It would be more efficient just to keep us alive.
Let me read you a definition here. A little. Okay, so egregore, it's from the French egregore, from ancient Greek, meaning wakeful. It's basically a concept representing a non-physical entity that arises from the collective thoughts of a distinct group of people. Historically, the concept referred to angelic beings or watchers and the specific rituals and practices associated with them, namely the Enochian traditions. So, in more recent times, the concept is referred to a psychic manifestation or a thought form, which occurs when any group shares a common motivation, being made up of and influencing the thoughts of the group.
Okay.
So if you apply that to, like AI, yeah. So what's the egregore there? Is AI actually a physical manifestation of us as an egregore? Like kind of growing and developing, and it also brings to mind the idea of a golem. Are you familiar with this? Like yeah, it's kind of a mythical, or like, like a sorcerer might create this golem out of clay and it basically does its bidding. We'll do the bidding of the sorcerer, but it's always growing and growing and growing. And if it gets too large, it will turn against the sorcerer or magician, whatever. And so the golem is, it's kind of a runaway train in the fact that you gotta, kind of have to keep it under wraps. So is AI, is that our golem? Are we creating something that will eventually get too big to do our bidding? And
It's
the
the
answer
most
is
common argument. Yeah.
probably yes. Yeah.
Yeah, probably yes, which is why we have to be arrestive in our approach today, right? We have to be like, we can't wait until we're reactionary. We have to be, taking steps right now, preventative steps. And some of that's going to be a lot harsher, I think, than what we've experienced in the last 100 years through technology and technological development. Like, we're going to have to be much more controlled in terms of these models, and we're going to have to be more we're going to have more boundaries, and more legal precedent has to be set, and quickly. I mean, I think what they're doing right now in Europe, which already has the strictest data security laws, and through GDPR, I think they're going to probably apply something similar to what they have on just regular data, right? The amount of data that you can collect on people and the right to be forgotten, that's all part of GDPR. Those things have had an influence on the rest of the world, namely places like Brazil or California, where you have much, much stricter data handling requirements and reporting requirements. They're going to and they're already working on this legislation to kind of control AI. And, there's some people that are arguing, if you're going to build a large language model, you're going to need to prove that it's safe, prove that you've put the right kind of heuristics and boundaries within it in order for it to be released. That in fact, it's so necessary for us to do that in order to control the narrative, that there's really no other options, right? It can't be just a free for all, a Wild West. I think that's true. I don't think that we can allow for just anybody to build models of great scale and capacity, and for it to continue to grow exponentially, because there is no other path except for destruction that would lead to. Like, I don't see a different path.
It's already happening though.
It is, which is why we have to do it like now. Like, what's today?
Yeah,
Saturday. Like, don't wait till Monday. Like, let's start. And people obviously already are. These things take time to slowly emerge. I do appreciate that Europe's already trying to tackle this. European Union.
Yeah.
The US needs to get on board. I think we're in a wait and see kind of environment, where we're going to see what Europe does and if they're able to enforce it. Yeah. They've been able to enforce GDPR pretty hardcore, and it's probably had a positive influence on people's ability to stay, keep their data as safe as possible.
Now, speaking of
ownership of it,
data security, Chat GPT implemented a opt-out policy. Sometime recently. I'm not sure how long ago that was, but yeah, you can now opt out of it, using your information to train the model. People were a little bit concerned because, I mean, everybody's jumping on board Chat
Mhm.
GPT. It's been the largest, adoption of software ever in the
Ever.
history of the world. And
Hmm.
well, at least that we know of, discounting Atlantean times and whatnot. But yeah, so everybody's using it, and I'm sure people are putting in personal information all the time. So now you can
Hmm.
opt out. So
Yeah. I mean, people's information is used to train the model. And if people don't
mhm.
realize that, then
Yeah,
they're fools, right? You're the if something is free on the internet, then you're the
they're
product,
part of a
right? You're the
beta
cause.
testing program, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, or they're extracting some other valuable information to them from you.
Well, certainly, yeah. But the data and the feedback that you're providing, now you don't get to keep your chat logs or anything like that if you don't voluntarily give them their data, right? That's the exchange of value.
Yeah,
But I mean, that doesn't bother me. I feel the same way about it than I do the fact that I've been giving my data to Google and to Apple freely to provide a service to me, which is the convenience of being able to surf the internet much faster, more efficiently.
yeah.
And frankly, they can spy on me all they want. They're gonna be just terribly bored. That's how I feel about it. NSA, all those guys can spy on me. I don't really give a shit because they're just gonna be bored. To me, it's like that's not even an issue. I understand the liberty aspects of it, but it's a personal choice.
Yeah.
And as long as you're getting an exchange of value. I was joking about the NSA. I don't want the NSA probing into everybody's business. It's a joke. But if they probed into mine, it would be really boring.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
don't mind that people are using the information that I'm plugging into ChatGPT to train ChatGPT and make it better, more
Oh yeah.
effective, more efficient,
Yeah. I'm not
safer.
putting in, I mean, I guess yeah, I'm not putting in my social security number or anything like that.
No,
Speaking of Chat GPT
why
though,
would you?
there was a video that came out this week. Matt
Mhm.
Wolf talking about it's basically about meta prompts, prompting
Oh yeah.
ChatGPT to produce better prompts so that
Hmm.
you can get some cool results. And that was an interesting experiment.
Hmm.
And I played around with that a bit, and yeah, it was kind of a long and winding path for me to get to this, but it's kind of like going back to I don't know, the basic argument of is AI good or bad? And I think it could be used either way. And like, so well, yeah, what if we put it to use to eradicate some corruption in politics? So I was
Hmm.
like, hey, using your storehouse of knowledge, Chat GPT, can you develop a theoretically effective and novel way of accessing public records to bring to light where campaign donations and lobby funds come from? The goal is to
Hmm.
expose the sources of special interest that seem to have an inordinate sway in United States politics. And it gave a very concise, logical answer with like
Hmm.
7 different, bullet points
Hmm.
about, consolidating, standardizing data sources, collecting aggregate information from the FEC, IRS, state level campaign finance
Hmm.
databases, building a machine learning model to analyze this data,
Hmm.
and then building
That's a great
incorporate
point, though.
crowdsourcing, user-friendly open data platform, collaboration with investigative journalists, advocate for policy reform and continuous improvement. And yeah, I can see how I mean, I could probably take the answer that it gave me and
Hmm.
then further develop everything
Hmm.
that I would need within ChatGPT,
I
like
was about to say that very thing because think
yeah,
about the
yeah,
difficulty of all those things they listed out.
right.
And it's the reason that we don't have really good healthcare data. It's the reason we don't have really good data on campaign finance is because it's difficult to unify all of that data across
Right.
the vastness of the federal government and state governments too. You'd have to do this with.
Exactly. And that's where AI comes in.
That's where AI comes in.
Get it to do the legwork so that we
Mhm.
can reap the benefit
Yeah,
of it.
I'm trying to think of some of these databases that they've attempted to build over the years in the US government. And airlines have databases that they've been trying to build for years to try to unify information on pilots and their work history and things like that. That's part of the FAA's mandate was to
Ah, Yeah.
to begin a database that in which all the pilots, background, so that if one flunked out of flight school somewhere here, the other guys would know about it, right?
Right. Right.
To
Oh,
paraphrase,
there's
I
not
guess,
even a
but
database for police
it's been
officers.
15 years
Just
since they
like,
passed the.
yeah, if they're
Yeah,
kicked
there's not
out, if
one
they're
for
like,
police.
yeah, if they're
Right.
kicked out of their police force,
Just go to a job somewhere
a
else.
dishonorable discharge, they can go get a job in the
Right.
next county over. There's no, yeah, I
That's right.
mean,
That's right.
I
That's
was
right. So,
I was talking to a
like,
friend of mine the other day. She was doing an article on school shootings, and she, when the Nashville shooting happened, she
yeah.
just was researching into it just to see how many other shootings or
Hmm.
emergency lockdown situations happened that
Hmm.
same day, and it was something like 16 in
Hmm.
America.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's a lot, and
Well,
there's
the people
no,
who track that, by the way, are totally voluntary,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
The gun violence. We'll link to the bottom because that's a really good organization that is tracking this stuff. Thank God. That's where we get these statistics.
well,
But
yeah,
the
yeah. I
governments
don't think
are.
she went to a consult. Is there a place where they're all?
Yeah, it's often quoted. You know, it's a database for shootings, and they consider a mass shooting anything over
Yeah,
three or four people wounded.
yeah,
So it's tracking those shooting and
right.
those shooting deaths and mass shootings. Thankfully, because now we understand just the largeness of the problem. Right?
Well,
We wouldn't know that without the
most
data.
people understand. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Doesn't mean we do
this
anything
type
with it.
of thing, I think AI is probably very well tailored to do.
Mm-hmm.
Collect all this stuff and do data analytics, bring it all in, consolidate it.
Consolidate it. Yeah.
Yeah, consolidate it and then display it in a form that can be easily digestible and it can help you do all these different things too. So
Right. So then
like
you get back to like AI safety. Could you have a licensure for AI where if you were going to produce a large language model above a certain amount of parameters that it would require a license, and that people would have to track those licenses, just like we do for other things like cars and
yeah,
dangerous things, um, in order to prevent, again, people from creating too big of an AI too soon, too dangerous of an AI, right? To prevent people from building out. I mean, we have some precedent for this, right? We can't just go buy chemicals to make a bomb. And if you did go buy chemicals that could be used in bomb making, then you're registered for that. You can't buy Sudafed, fuck's sake, like you have to sign some documents at the pharmacy to buy Sudafed, which is an over-the-counter medicine.
yeah, yeah, it's true.
All these
You're
things are put
going
in
on the list.
place to
Yeah.
prevent and in response to, bad human behavior, bad human tendencies to take things and make them destructive. And so, I potentially that's something we'll have to do. We're going to have to take draconian measures, I think. Otherwise, we are going to be at the mercy of AI, and we won't know how quickly that will happen. And maybe much sooner than we ever expected. Now, how does that help when you've got rogue states? How does that help? I don't know. Um, how have we not been destroyed by nuclear weapons? Right. So there's a kind of equilibrium with nuclear weapons today, which is mutual self-destruction. Right. That theory
Yeah.
of maintaining equilibrium that keeps this like a win-win situation for everybody, but requires you to always have your, rockets pointed at each other, which is
Right. Right.
not where you want to be. That's not stable, but
Yeah.
it works. Right.
Right. But then you get smaller states that now have nuclear capacities
But
and
they also
they're
have to play by those rules. They're also part of that equilibrium, like North
yeah,
Korea.
yeah, yeah.
Like North Korea would be, if they fired a nuclear weapon on South Korea, North Korea would be wiped off the planet, right? Or at anyone else, very, very quickly. So they wouldn't gain anything by launching a nuclear missile. In fact, they would lose everything, and they recognize that. That's why there's a stalemate, and that's what got us through the Cold War. But it doesn't mean it will last forever because it's also on shaky grounds. But that's the only way we would have to have some sort of geopolitical intervention that was defendable. I know that's not a popular opinion right now. I'm not the only one who's expressed this opinion. It's something that I think other people have said is like, we're going to have to like bomb data centers in rogue countries like we would take out a potential nuclear laboratory. You know, maybe that's what Top Gun 4 will be about, you know.
Right. Yeah. Using
bombing AI.
Yeah, infrared scans, finding heat signatures of data centers.
Yeah, look at all those GPUs in there. Bomb them, you know. I think if the threat is as real as people say it is, and the only solution is to prevent it through the same means of destruction that we've protected ourselves in the last since World War II, then you know that's what we have to do. If we're going to be survivalists, otherwise we just let it go and hope for the best. Hope that some of the theories that I think are almost a little fringe at this point, like that AI will decide in general that we're just better off alive, don't destroy them. Like that would be, you know.
So for like, I think this question that you pose about mutually assured destruction and the quit nuclear arms and what do we do about this? I mean, well, let's ask Chat GPT. I mean, let's see if we can come up with a
what's Chat GPT 4 say about how to protect ourselves from AI?
Yeah,
well, runaway AI proliferation.
We'll pose that question. And we'll be back with the answer.
All right.
Yeah,
we hitting our time.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. So, it's my time too. Hey, perfect, man. That worked. I'll ping you in a bit though. We'll check in. Okay.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
All right, man. Peace.
Heart of the artist. So to the military man, is the work they do in earnest. Becomes just nostalgia as a cold storm burns. Move to the east. Good luck with staying warm this winter while they count electric sheep and sleep. Seek the gods they seek. Writing on the wall, it all defies imagination. Can't you see them disappear, left stranded at the station, waving goodbye? Watching them disappear. When the future comes too fast, there's no turning back. What's your plan? Will pay the pension.